Good evening, sir.
Yes, a pleasant evening to you.
Yeah. Yeah, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I'm bringing back today the person that you've actually met before in the person of Mr. Abubakar Osman Garba. He once spoke on this platform, and I am glad to bring him back again for another session of discussion. I hope you enjoy this conversation. So I'm going to go ahead and ask him to introduce himself briefly again as we start for today. Would you please introduce yourself again to our audience, perhaps for those who did not listen to the last conversation we had?
Thank you very much. And I'm happy to be here for another session of interaction with you, which is geared towards helping young persons to set and achieve their goals. My name is Abubakar Usman. I'm currently a lecturer at the University of Technology, Jamaica.
Thank you very much. Today's episode is actually on procrastination. I've known you for quite some time, and I would say you're one of the champions of procrastination. You talk about it, you preach about it, you teach it, and you actually live it. And that's the reason I'm actually having this podcast with you. So procrastination is, like we know, it's said to be a thief of time. If we procrastinate, no matter how smart we are, no matter how intelligent we are going to achieve very, very little in life. So it is very, very important that we look at this very important topic of discussion. So I'm going to just start for emphasis sake. What is procrastination? If you're to define procrastination, sir.
Yes, the definition of procrastination is straightforward. It is the act of either delaying or postponing, or both, postponing a task or an activity, often to the point of not completing that activity. It is a common behavior that affects individuals in various aspects of life, including academics, which is my own field, or personal life, or professional life. I will give you an example. A student has a research paper that is due in 2 weeks, but instead of starting the paper right away, as soon as the assignment is given, the individual spend the first week browsing social media, watching television, and doing some other activities. So in the second week, the persons start to feel anxious because the deadline is approaching, but still the person delayed starting the paper until the last day. So that will often result in rushing and incomplete assignment submission, even if it is really submitted, because some persons will actually miss the deadline.
Yeah.
So this is one of the examples. There are other examples, but let me just limit myself to this first one.
Yeah. Thank you very much. That's a very, very clear definition of procrastination, and I think this begs for another question. But why do people procrastinate? If it's very important that we do not procrastinate, if we're going to achieve something, if you are going to amount to something, actually, we have to deal with procrastination. We know these things, but why do people still procrastinate despite all this knowledge?
Well, I believe that this is a very, very important question, because everything has a reason.
Yes.
There are various reasons why people procrastinate. And I will give you an example of common reasons. One of the reasons is fear of failure, or I will add, probably fear of success too. Some people delay starting tasks because they fear not having an ability to complete the task to their satisfaction. Or they may worry that success will lead to increased expectation or pressure on them. For this reason, they will want to procrastinate. Another reason is lack of motivation, and I will clarify this point because recently I was listening to this young woman who said motivation is garbage. That's the way she calls it. Well, let me explain what I mean by this. When individuals lack interest in a task, they may find it difficult to begin or to continue working on the task. That often leads to procrastination. Another reason is difficulty in decision making. Some people may struggle with making decisions, causing them to delay starting an activity which they said they want to engage in. Now, there is one of the reasons why people procrastinate, and that looks positive, but actually eventually lead to something that is detrimental. That is what is called perfectionism. Now, individuals with high standard may have a hard time starting a task if they feel they cannot do it, the word again, perfectly.
Sorry, do you mind if I ask that you repeat that word again, and if possible to spell it?
Perfectionism. That is from the word perfect.
Okay. Perfectionism. Okay. Right. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Right. So I was explaining that individuals with who have high standard may find it very difficult to start a task if they feel that they cannot do it perfectly. I'm emphasizing that word. So that often leads to procrastination. Or another reason is if people are overwhelmed with a project they feel that is too complex. So some people may feel overwhelmed with those activities and unsure on where to begin, leading to procrastination. As we go on, we are going to see how we may overcome some of these reasons that I just outlined.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so somebody said motivation is garbage, but you think motivation is actually very important to overcome procrastination.
Right. So what this individual was saying, and I quite understand, is that we will at no point
be motivated all the time,
because our brain is organized in such a way that it protects us from doing anything we feel that is challenging or uncomfortable. So it is for us to overcome those challenges of doing something that is very important to us, that there is no way we will feel motivated to do those things that are very, very important, because let's face it, essential things do not come easy.
That's true.
And therefore, we will not really feel like doing it. And I remember Brian Tracy is talking about self-discipline as the way of overcoming anything worthwhile, anything that we want to do that is important to us, but we are not doing it. What we need is self-discipline rather than just motivation.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, like Tony Robbins will say, he said, complexity is the killer of execution. If you want to, just like you say, perfection. If you want it to be perfect before you can do it, conditions to be perfect before you do anything, you're never going to start. Just start, and then the momentum to continue will be discovered along the way. Thank you very much. Yeah, now we're going to go into the next question. we know we shouldn't procrastinate. We know what procrastination is. We know what will happen. Maybe sometimes I think some people would say if you know what the consequences are, then maybe you're actually going to do it. But we know that people know what the consequences are in most cases, but perhaps some don't know. What are the consequences? What are the things that can happen if we do procrastinate?
Okay, right. So we know what we should do. We have our goal, but when it comes to the action, so you're asking, what are the consequences? Well, that the consequences of not achieving goals. This means an individual will continue in cycles.
Yeah.
You know that the life you live is not the type of life you want to live. That's why you set goals. You want to better yourself. But for some reasons, an individual is not able to put into action what the person has designed to do. So it will lead to failure. That is to summarize.
That is true. That is. Do you think if some degree of fear can help overcome procrastination? If you look at the consequences, maybe you lay them before you every single day and say, okay, if I don't do this, then this is going to happen. And you tend to remind yourself from time to time. Do you think that can help in overcoming procrastination?
Yeah, in some way, I believe. Just as we are asking these questions, I remember what Jim Rohn said, that if you set a goal, for you to get to act to achieve this goal, you must have enough reason why you want to achieve that goal. So the more reason, the more strong is the reason why you want to achieve what you are set out to achieve, the more you are likely to get into action to achieve those goals. So you should have enough reason why you want to achieve what you said you want to achieve.
That is very correct. Thank you. And for those who have been actually listening to my podcast and those who have been following on Facebook, I post a lot of quotes from Jim Rohn. I think I also remember that quote you said. I think you also said it this way too. But if the why is if the why is easy, I forgot. Jesus, I'll delete this part. He said if the why is easy, the how is simple. Yeah, something like that. As in, if you know the why, then the how to achieve that why, it's easy. Something along that line.
Right. I quite understand. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Just a follow-up question on the things we've discussed so far. Do you think everybody procrastinates to a different degree?
Well, procrastination is very, very common because, as I've said earlier, that our brain is designed to protect us from anything that is not comfortable, and therefore procrastination is actually very, very, very common. So the persons who have achieved what they have achieved is because they look at the importance of what they want to achieve, and somehow they decided to overcome anything that will pull them back, to hinder them from getting into actions that will achieve their goals. So I have mentioned self-discipline as one of it. And actually this lady in America, which I've told you, I've actually forgotten her name. But what she emphasized is that window where an individual decided to get into action and something is telling the individual, you are not able to do it now, your brain is trying to protect you, this is inconvenient, this is too much, that you have about 5 seconds to take decision. That is why she brought a strategy that repeating 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 within that very short time. Tell yourself 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get into action. That you will be able to trick your brain to overcome the procrastination that you want to engage in.
I think. Thank you. I think I think I know that lady. Her name is Mel Robbins.
Right, that is the name. That is true.
The 5-second rule. Yeah.
That is right.
Yeah. Thank you. I think I also remember. I think I'm beginning to remember things now. I think I also remember exactly the way Jim Rohn said it. He said, "If the why is clear, the how is easy." Yeah.
That's great.
You also talked about self-discipline. Now, just a little explanation. You don't have to elaborate on this. Self-discipline. When self-discipline it's not automatic. It takes consistent repetition of simple steps before it's ingrained into our soul, body, and mind, and becomes a habit. So, is that correct? Because self-discipline cannot be generated automatically. If you want to start something, you probably will have to start small and make sure. I think repetition is just the emphasis here. Over time, then that becomes part of you. Can that help with procrastination too?
Right. Yes, what you are saying is absolutely true. Just like procrastination can become a habit, therefore self-discipline can become a habit. So let me just mention this, and then I will tie it together with the self-discipline. We know that procrastination can become a habit, especially if an individual consistently avoid or delay tasks that are challenging or unpleasant. Now, I give you an example. Reinforcement. For example, when an individual procrastinates, the person feel a temporary sense of relief or pressure from avoiding that task that the individual perceives as very, very challenging.
Yes.
So this can reinforce the habit of procrastination by associating it with a reward or positive outcome. Now, the opposite is true. If a person have a goal and then you know how important that goal is, and then something is telling the person that he is not able to do this, but the person rejected it and then put in the strategies for self-discipline and overcome it, that becomes a habit. So an individual can use the strategies of self-discipline to overcome procrastination.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't want to dwell too much on this because it's just a very, very elaborate topic. So we'll go on to the next question. What is the science behind procrastination? Is there any science to it?
Yes, of course, yes, there are a few studies. Actually, there are many, but I'm going to talk about just very, very few. The science behind procrastination, you should know that it is actually very complex and multidisciplinary field. That it involves various subjects like psychology, neuroscience, behavioral economics. So let me give you just one or two.
Okay.
There was a study that was conducted, that's an older study actually, but still very important. The title is Procrastination, Deadlines, and Performance, Self-Control by Pre-Commitment. This individual, two persons actually who conducted the study. In the study, the investigators explored the effects of self-imposed deadlines on procrastination and performance. They found out that individuals who set their own deadlines, that is what is called pre-committed or pre-commitment, were less likely to procrastinate and perform better on tasks than compared to those persons who do not set deadlines. So these authors argue that pre-commitment can serve as a form of self-control by limiting the individual's future opinion and providing a sense of urgency to complete the task. And when I say urgency, I now remember Brian Tracy. Whatever you are set out to do, if you know the importance of doing that, have a sense of urgency that you have to do it. Do it now. Do it now. And do it now. So this is one of the studies, but I told you I'm going to give you just, let me give you a second one. This is a more recent studies.
Okay.
2019. The role of prefrontal cortex in the continuation of delayed intentions. So this is the title of this study.
The PFC.
The study used neuroimaging techniques to investigate the brain mechanism during procrastination. So the researchers found that the prefrontal cortex, that's, as you know, the region of the brain that is involved in decision making and planning.
Yeah.
This part plays a very crucial role in the continuation of delayed intentions. Specifically, what they found is that the activity in the prefrontal cortex was lower when the participants of the study were procrastinating compared to when they were actively engaged or working on the task at hand. So therefore, the investigators suggest that procrastination may result from failure of the prefrontal cortex mediated executive functions such as intention, working memory, inhibition, which are necessary for goal-directed behavior. That's what they found.
Wow, that is very correct. I think I listened to this doctor too, Dr. Daniel G. Amen, in one of these audio books, and also we have a printed copy too. Now, just to be clear, I have not been sponsored by these people, but I just read and listened to the book. Where it's an awesome book. It says, "Change your brain, change your life," and it talked about the PFC, the prefrontal cortex, and the activities that actually go on there during those times of motivation, procrastination, and stuff like that. So anybody who is willing can actually grab that book. So you're absolutely spot on. I'm going to quickly go to the next question about. So, can we overcome procrastination all the time, or should it be most of the time? And what should be the balance?
While it is difficult to completely eliminate procrastination from our lives, we can certainly work on overcoming it or reducing its negative impact on our productivity, which is what is desired. Now, the extent to which we can overcome procrastination may vary depending on various factors at hand. For example, our self-regulatory abilities. An example, some tasks may be inherently more challenging or what we may perceive as less rewarding, making it harder to overcome procrastination. So that underscores the importance of whatever we say we want to engage in, let it be very, very important to us, and that very seriously. Similarly, our motivation may fluctuate depending on our emotional state, our stress level, and other factors that may affect our mood and energy. Not only that, our self-regulatory activities, such as our ability to focus, our ability to resist distractions, manage our time effectively, may vary depending on our personal trait, cognitive lifestyle, habit, which we have talked about. So, but yes, we can overcome procrastination. So that being said, there are strategies to overcome procrastination. Probably this is the time to mention some of them. Don't know if down the road we will dwell on that. So such strategies include setting clear and achievable goals, breaking down the goals into smaller and manageable steps. You have actually talked about that just a while ago. And not only that, using tools and some applications to manage our time and our attention, seeking social support and accountability, just as we have done sometimes with you, and then practicing self-compassion and mindfulness, focusing on the activities at hand. I remember this individual, very, very wealthy individuals from the US. I learned that it includes Bill Gates. I think Warren Buffett was also there. And one other person, I cannot remember the name of that person well now. So somebody approached them. They were seated together discussing, and then somebody approached them. Excuse me, gentlemen, I don't want to disturb you, but I want to ask you this question. What is the very, very important action if an individual wants to achieve a goal? All of them, without consulting one another, turn at the same time and mention a single word. They say, focus. So that's why I'm emphasizing this. Focus can help us overcome procrastination. When we have all activities littered here and there, I want to do this. Oh no, I'm not sure if I want to do this. I want to do that. Oh, I'm not sure if that is more important than this. Littered here and there without focus, we will procrastinate. But when we focus on activities that is very, very important to us, it helps us to minimize procrastination.
That is a very, very valid point. That is very important. I think the tendency, I would say for most people, the natural tendency is for people to want to achieve so many things at the same time. But the disadvantage is that once you have so many things going at the same time, it tends to affect your focus, and you may end up not actually achieving anything. Oh, thank you very, very much. We don't have too much on our list because I think we've kind of mentioned, touched on a lot of them.
That's right.
How do we overcome inertia as the initial resistance to actually want to start something? You know you should do something, but you know it's very important, but to get yourself off and do that thing, that's the inertia. How do you overcome that inertia, that initial thing that wants to prevent you from actually starting a task? How do you overcome that? It's usually the most difficult aspect, actually.
That's right. What you said is absolutely true. So inertia, that is the tendency for an individual to maintain the current state of things as it is. A person who wants to resist change. You don't want to initiate an activity that will change one's life. So even if those changes may be beneficial or necessary, the individual don't want to engage in it. It's a common problem. Actually, this can be a major obstacle to personal growth and development of an individual. It can prevent a person from taking action or decision making to pursue new opportunities. But yes, we can overcome inertia. One of the strategies to overcome inertia is to set clear goals. And I emphasize the word clear. So when we have clear and specific goals, it can be easier to focus our attention and energy on taking action. So goals, as we know, must be written down, broken down into smaller steps, and creating a plan of action to achieve that rather than a complex activity. We must break them into smaller steps. So start small. Sometimes the hardest part of taking action is getting started. I think you have mentioned a point like that. To overcome this, we must start small and manage the tasks that can help us to build momentum and increase the strategies to overcome inertia. And also, positive self-talk can help when we tell ourselves that we are capable and competent of engaging in tasks that is profitable to us. That will help us to overcome inertia.
Yeah, I actually remember the positive self-talk. It helps. I remember not too distant time ago. I took a course that was honestly very tough, very challenging, and at a point I was like, all right, can I actually pass this course? But each time I would go to the bathroom, I'll look myself in the mirror. I'll say, "Hey, this is you. You can do this, and you have to do this." And by the end of the course, I excelled. To my amazement, I really passed it. When I look back, I realized that wow, those talks actually helped me not to give up. Because at times I felt like, no, I just can't do this, and it's just too tough. But then I reminded myself who I think I am, and I was able to achieve. So positive self-talk really does really help. Okay, two more questions, and that's going to be it for today. Uh, is is procrastination pathological?
Well, that's very important. Yes, to some extent, not all procrastination is associated with a pathology. But yes, there is attention deficit activity disorder.
Yeah.
Now, this disorder is related to procrastination. It has a relationship with procrastination. Although itself is a neurological condition that affects an individual's attention, concentration, and the impulse control. So procrastination, on the other hand, as we know, is a habit of delaying or postponing activities that need to be done, often until the last minute. So the relationship is this: individuals with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder often struggle with procrastination because they have difficulty sustaining their attention on tasks that are inherently important or stimulating to them. They may also have difficulty prioritizing tasks and managing their time effectively, which often leads them to procrastinate until the last minute. Not only that, individuals with this disorder may experience a sense of overwhelm when they are faced with complex or large tasks, leading them to avoid the tasks altogether. So procrastination can become a coping mechanism for individuals with this disorder when they perceive it as overwhelming, as it provides a temporary relief from anxiety that comes with that task. So overall, while procrastination is not symptoms of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, it is a common behavior among individuals with these disorders because they have problem with organization and prioritization.
Yeah, and that's these individuals we talked about. According to statistics now that I'm looking at, it says about 9.4% of the U.S. population is actually diagnosed with ADHD. That's a large number of people.
It is.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you very much for this. I hope everyone enjoyed this conversation. I'm sure I'm going to bring you back again to this podcast on some other important topics that we find valuable to achieving success in our lives. If you can just summarize what we've just discussed, I would appreciate that.
You're very much welcome. I'm happy to engage in these discussions, hoping that there are persons who are going to benefit from that. We have been talking about procrastination, which is the act of delaying or postponing activities, often to the very last minute, and we have given example in student cycle. There is actually another example among employees, which instead of working on a task every day, they continuously postpone their activity, and they end up cramming all this work into the last 2 days of submission. So we can see examples and the consequences of procrastination. And we see also why people procrastinate. For example, fear of failure, lack of attaching importance to the task, and then difficulty in decision making. I emphasize about perfectionism, and then being overwhelmed with activities can also lead to procrastination. We have summarized some studies that have some findings about why people procrastinate. So yes, there is a science behind procrastination. But of course, yes, we can overcome procrastination by being goal-directed and attaching importance to what we said we want to do. Just as you mentioned about Jim Rohn, if you have a very, very strong reason why you want to engage in an activity, the more reason you attach to it, the more importance you attach to it, the more chance you have to engage in those activities. So I hope this session is beneficial to the listeners. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much, and you have a wonderful week. And it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I'm sure you'll be willing to come to share more insights next time we invite you. Thank you, everybody, for staying with us. If you have any question, you can post a question on the YouTube channel. And if you have any other topic you actually want us to discuss, I would be more than willing to review those, and I will be sure to get you the best people to answer those questions. Thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like our channel. Peace out.